for another edition of the Full Throttle Sim Racing Series for the Mach1 Performance Cup Series at the simulated 1 mile New Hampshire Motor Speedway. I didn't get to watch the actual race, but the cars out here tonight, we got a pretty big field. We got 23 cars coming in tonight's event, so definitely looking forward to that, seeing what they can do with this 1 mile monster of New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Weather out here, 81 degrees on the track, or on the air, but the track temp's not as bad as we've seen in the past couple weeks. We're around 115 degrees on the asphalt tonight. So, and the cars they're looking pretty grippy out there, Dustin. And the wind's a little high, around 5 or 6 miles an hour, coming out of the west/northwest, depending on what gust you find out there. But we do have 150 laps to settle this out for the 7th race of the season. Mr. Dustin, how you doing over there tonight, man?
Doing fantastic. Looking to have a good race. I said 25 more miles than we seen the trucks do last Wednesday. They put on a fantastic race last Wednesday. And I would expect nothing less. Love seeing the showing of cars tonight. I know that's been the talk and everything else. It's always hard during the summer seasons to get drivers in there because that's when they're traveling around. They're doing vacations. Speaking of vacation, Mr. Richie Coy is back from his family vacation. Hopefully everything went good there. But again, coming here in New Hampshire, 23 drivers should be a damn good show tonight, Jeremy.
I really hope his vacation went awesome because what he did is, I know the real world comes first, but he sacrificed 3 championship leading positions this season by going on a 1-week vacation, which is the truck, ARCA, and the Cup Series, which is tonight. He did fall down to only 5 points behind Mr. Nicholas Moreau, who has put on a hell of a show for us, especially in the qualifying. He is currently going for 7 of 7 as far as poles. This guy is... It doesn't matter if you're on a super speedway or a short track. He's going to get this job done. So who will dethrone Nicholas Moreau this season as far as polls go? I don't know. But Richie Coy definitely motivated to get back there and get back to his championship lead. Being only 5 points out, he definitely has a shot to do that. And his teammate, Mr. Brody Hanna, has taken over second place, Dustin, only 4 back.
Yeah, I mean, the points battle has closed up with Richie Coy taking that much-needed... sympatical, I guess, if you want to call it. I mean, family is family. You need to do that, and I 110% support that. But if anybody can rebound back from that with consistency, Richie Coy is definitely one of those drivers. I mean, there's a lot of drivers out there that can do it. Richie Coy is definitely one of them. But like you said, I mean, Nicholas Moreau, that's what I'm waiting for. I'm waiting to see if... you know what, at this point in time, nothing against Ryan Newman, but we might as well just call him Rocket Man Moreau because, I mean, he has been a rail. He puts down some heaters every single week.
Rocket Man Moreau, huh? All right, well, let's see if he can maintain that. Since he has a 1 mile flat racetrack out here to see if he can make that happen for 7 for 7. He's done on the high banks. He's done on the low banks. We haven't seen a track this season like New Hampshire, so it's another new ballpark and see if he can claim that. But as you said earlier in the pre-race here, it's awesome to see the cars out here. 23 hit the track tonight. At least in practice, all 23 cars that have registered have made time in practice. So I know sometimes people back out a little early, but right now 23. That ranks up there as one of the highest counts tonight. And I'm sure everyone out there is excited to see that because, you know, when you're on 13, 14 cars, it is fun. It is fun. Don't get me wrong. But when you see this number out here tonight, it's something else. It's awesome.
It is. It really is. And like I said, I mean, the level of competition that, you know, all these drivers at Full Throttle Sim Racing bring, I mean, it's always a good showing here. And it's good to see some of these drivers back. Some of these drivers, Jeremy, we haven't seen in a few weeks. I see that 51 out there, Brandon Elder. We haven't had a chance to see him in a few weeks. And there's a couple other drivers that we haven't seen. Jonathan Varanaskis, we haven't seen him in a number of weeks either. So it's good to see some of these drivers come back. Come back for competition and see what they can't get done tonight. But I'm like you. We have not seen a track like New Hampshire yet for these Cup guys. And this track here, it poses a lot of difficulty. That low lane, I mean, if you can get it to stick, It's great, but it's definitely difficult. You scrub a lot of speed. That second lane up, as we see the 23 Brody Hanna there go for one hell of a ride. Doesn't hit anything, but he sure sent it on the spin cycle. But that second lane, second to third lane, that's usually the money lane right there. So it's going to be interesting to see what these drivers can do.
Yeah, we noticed if you guys watched in the truck race, the outside can play a part and does. That third lane has a little bit more grip in that darker asphalt section. With these Cup cars, who will take advantage of that. Also, to make a quick mention, Mr. Gil Gawk out currently with knee surgery. So if you're listening, man, we're thinking about you. Hopefully that recovery is going well with that surgery. Hopefully everything went to plan, and we'll see you back on the track shortly. But this is the end of the Martin Sports pre-race show. You know what that time means? It's time to start thanking some people allow us to do this. Of course, every Monday and Wednesday for you guys here on Nerd TV. We got a great showing tonight, 23 cars for the Full Throttle Sim Racing League. Let's keep those numbers up on a consistent basis. And to do that, you're going to go to FTSR.net, get yourself registered, join these guys. They're awesome to hang out with after the race and before the race, and during the race, they're a good group of guys as well. And they drive fast and competitively and very cleanly, which is important. So FTSR.net, get yourself registered today. Mach1 Performance, presenting sponsor for tonight's Cup Series. If you have a race car that needs some fabrication work done to it, and a Mach1 Performance is in your area, then head over to facebook.com/Mach1 Performance and see what they offer. They've done multiple cars amongst dirt and pavement oval racing, and produced champions from the SCCA series and NASA. So they have championship quality work. So once again, Mach1 Performance on Facebook, and see if they're in your area. Sim Racing Points, presenting sponsor for the Truck Series every single Wednesday, and partnered up with the Nerds as well. And they have the best, Dustin. They have the best software when it comes to points management, period. They have tons of information they display, and it comes out super cleanly. Very customizable too. Full screen layouts, widgets, whatever you need from this software, they have your back. SimRacingPoints.com, and go over their pricing plans too. Not a bad price considering all the stuff they do for your league to make it look professional. Martin Sports, home of the Sim gloves. We say that every time, and if you don't have a pair at this point, I don't know why you don't. Right now is a good time to head over to martinsports906.com. Pick yourself up something, whether it be the gloves or anything from your hat all the way down to your waistband there. They got your upper half covered. Shirts, hoodies, t-shirts, they got you. Martin Sports 906 once again, and use that Super Nerd checkout code for 25% off. Thank you to iRacing iFlag for being the flag partner for the Nerditudes. It's a 64 LED matrix system that sits on your desk and produces up to 30 notifications iRacing has to offer, and a really bright, visible little piece. It kind of brings like the track LEDs into your sim rig. One of a kind product. So head over to iRacingIFlag.com, pick yourself up one, then use Super Nerd at checkout for 15% off. Thank you to The Butt Kicker, the official audio enhancement partner for the Nerditudes. You need to pick yourself up that Gamer 2 unit. One of a kind thing that brings all the feeling of the car. If you're an actual racer in real life, you want this in your sim rig because it produces basically the same exact feeling, but in the comfort of your own home. And it gives you that much needed feel to perform at your peak performance. So see their entire product line at thebuttkicker.com. Nerd TV for 20% off. Thinking of Moonlight Speed over at moonlightspeed.us. If you're looking to get some wins this season, I know we're only halfway through in the iRacing season, but if you're looking for some wins on the asphalt side, these guys have got you covered. Professional setups built on the weekly and sometimes more than once to really bring that performance to you. So moonlightspeed.com, get signed up on their Discord or on their Twitter, and pick out your pricing plans. They got multiple versions. You can do a weekly, you can do a full season, you can just pick a certain track car combination, whatever you need, they got you. And the houseofspeed.us, professional setups built for dirt. Anything dirt oval related, whether it be the late models that you see on your screen, or if you got the big block modifieds or whatever on the oval side, they got your back. And these setups are proven, even with the professionals out there. They back these setups up. on the tacky surface, on the slick surface, whatever you need for your racing, they got you. Once again, houseofspeed.us. And then lastly, Nerd Focus. Find them over at nerdfocus.com. Use Super Nerd at checkout for 10% off their 2 amazing flavored drinks. If you want the sugar kick, you got the green label. If you're trying to watch your sugar, go for the blue. Either way, turn to nerdfocus.com. They're going to keep you hyper-focused for hours on end. All right, Dustin. Perfect segue right into the race here. That means qualifying is done. The grid is taken. Only 16 laps turned. And 17th to 21st, or 23rd rather, did not qualify. But if you want to go over that starting grid for us.
Yeah, Rocket Man Nicholas Moreau, again, 7 straight times has taken the pole starting spot. Chuck Sweeting starting to his outside. Richie Coy returning after his family vacation and has not missed a beat, starting inside second row. Outside second row, Matthew Vachon. Starting 5th, Jonathan Varnaskis. 6th, Stephen Allen. Starting 7th is going to be Chad Lang in that number 4. Brian Dublé, another strong qualifying effort from that 37 team, starts 8th. Chris Beck will start grid in P9 and his dancing partner to the outside to round out the top 10 in that number 33 Chevy, Sherwood Williford.
Josh Mayhew starts in 11th place. Joshua Johnson to his outside in 12th. 13th, they're going to find the number 47 of Ryan Hedrick. 14th, Brody Hanna. 15th place, Martin Garreau. To his outside in 16th, Tony Solari. 17th, Fred Moreau. 18th, James Wallace. 19th, Wayne Grassi. 20th, looks like Stephen Lou Allen. 21st, Brandon Elder. 22nd, Brian Bliss. And Stephen Loomis rounds out tonight's 23-car field. And Dustin, I got a sleeper here pick for you. I'm going to be looking on that number 5. Mr. Fred Moreau did not qualify. He's going to be starting in 17th. But if you recall, he's only raced 1 race here at Full Throttle, and he won that thing in Chicago. With his practice time being a 10th off the fastest time, I think he might have a chance.
I would have to agree on that one there. Definitely going to be a sleeper. I mean, it's not uncommon for us to see these drivers not take time. They want to feel out how this race is going to go as the drivers just got the commands to fire up those engines. So again, it's not uncommon for them not to take time, and I expect a lot of these drivers to work their way forward. A lot of fast drivers back there, a lot of consistent drivers like we're used to seeing it here at Full Throttle Sim Racing. So it's definitely going to heat up. They got plenty of time, Jeremy. 150 laps scheduled distance right now. Plenty of time.
150 laps, that is half the current schedule of the actual Cup cars. They do this over here at Full Throttle every night on Mondays. You run 50% of the actual schedule, so it's a little bit short of a race in comparison. You know, it's only 300 miles. In this case, it's only 150 for these guys tonight. But still, it's still going to be a really fun race regardless. I like the shorter races sometimes, Dustin. It kind of brings some different feel to the race when you don't have to have such a low point right in the middle of the race. And I know these guys love to try to get all the ground they can as fast as they can, and with a shortened race they can do that. So really looking forward to seeing what these guys can do with this 1 mile track here tonight. Got a couple new skins I'm seeing out there. I'm really enjoying that as well. But at number 15, 7 for 7, that's pretty awesome. Let's see if we can continue this the whole season. But needless to say, late Larry green flag is out, and Nicholas with an awesome jump over that 75 clears him by 2 or 3 car lengths entering turn number 1, as it's 19 and 75 side by side.
Yeah, it's the Richie and Chuck show again. These two already found themselves starting second and third. Richie on that inside. Looks like he is going to try to get that run. Doesn't quite have him clear, but should have him clear going into turn 3. But Chuck Sweeting still holding strong in that 3rd to 4th lane up there, Jeremy. We already see a good line up there, and I would get used to that. Definitely going to be that fast lane around the track. But I tell you what, back there going for about 11th on back, there's a gaggle of cars right now as they're still trying to cycle everything out.
Yeah, that's a huge gaggle. I think they're 2x2x2. They almost wanted to go 3-wide at one point. I'm excited to see what the high side does here with these Cup cars. I know in iRacing, if you run the high side, it definitely cooks your tires a little bit more, so you got to be careful on that. You see the 37 Dublé running right up against that wall, which I did not expect to see on lap 2, but someone's already trying to clear the marbles, trying to see what kind of grips up there. But yeah, still pretty good racing here just outside the top 10.
Yeah, and again, I mean, they're going to have to get up there. I mean, this track, they're going to have to get, the grooves worn in on it. But I tell you what, right now, I mean, we're on board with Josh Johnson. I mean, this is some tough battling back here for that 11th spot. I mean, these guys are battling just outside that top 10. And like you said, they're 2 by 2 by 2 by 2 all the way back. And I mean, they're bumper to bumper. You could throw a blanket over this whole group, Jeremy.
You really can. You see on board right here, the 57 at O2 Josh May's got a pretty interesting new sponsor. Used to seeing him in a white car, but now he's got a flat black car with some chrome text on there. Pretty cool to see a couple new skins. We got a spin here. Caution is out. Looks like the number 44 of Chris Beck off of turn number 2. Gets a little slideways out of control, and it's going to bring that first caution out on lap number 4.
Yeah, lap number 4, we're going to see it right here. I just dips those tires just below that second groove there into that first groove, and it just upsets that car, Jeremy. We had talked about it before in the truck race, that inside line like that, it's essentially almost a dead line. The good news is, though, is it was a spin. Yes, it brought that caution out, but no contact with any piece of the track, no walls, and no other cars. So, again, he should be all right to keep going. May have to come in for a new set of sticker tires on it, though. Flat spotting him around the corner, but he should be all right, Jeremy.
We got 5 sets of tires tonight, and with a shorter race than average as far as the mileage is concerned, I think this will be all right. Just get them changed up, and you do have to start in the back, unfortunately, when you do that. But get out of the way earlier. Maybe you can make some adjustments to that car, but the tires they're just about heated up, so I would think it's kind of like where his comfort level should be. And if it's a little loose, maybe tweak something a little bit to tighten that thing up just a notch. But like you said, no harm, no foul. And we see a couple other guys come down. Maybe there's a few people out there who think maybe their car is not up to speed. You see the 67 James Wallace, the number 7, surprisingly, Wayne Grossi giving up positions here a little early as he creeps into his pit stall. But,
I didn't see the cars go up, though, Jeremy. So Wayne Grossi's car, the right side does go up. I did not see on the camera angle James Wallace's car go up. So these could just be some early race adjustments going from practice to qualifying and now to race, and just topping off on fuel. We do know that Wayne Grossi did take right sides, so he is now down to 4 sets on the right side there. But again, like you said, a shorter than normal, should still be all right. Just got to start in the back.
Yeah, can't concur that the 67 Jack did not go up, so maybe just a little adjustment to his car, whatever he decided to do, whether something internal, nothing to do with tire pressure, obviously, because he did not get the tires changed. But you see the 17, actually, he's going to make his way down pit road 2. I think that's, 17. There's Steve Loomis in that black and blue Chevrolet Camaro. So he's going to make his way to his crew. So a couple people taking advantage of this, Dustin.
Yeah, and it's not uncommon to see his strategy start early here with the drivers at Full Throttle Sim Racing. We've seen, strategies before pay off. We've seen them try some things. That there looks like a stop and go, topping off on some of that lovely Sunoco race fuel. Simulated Sunoco race fuel, maybe a quick adjustment going in, probably much like James Wallace. But again, why not take advantage of it, Jeremy? If you are already seeing possible issues with the way that your car's handling, that quick early caution like that, perfect time to come in and make those adjustments rather than battling it out for the next 60 laps.
Yeah, they had a great little 5-lap feeler there, or 4-lap feeler rather, to figure out exactly what's going on with their car. Yes, I think the tire temps were basically up 2 temps, so you have a kind of a good grasp of what it feels like. And if you're already back there in 17th on back, whatnot, you're gonna lose a couple spots to make that car feel better. So yeah, like just make it happen while you can. And we got 1 lap to green here. I want to make a mention too before we go back to green. Here at Nerditudes and Nerd TV, we love to chat with you guys in the chat. So YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, whatever you're watching our content, join us in the chat. Let us know how you're feeling about today's race or the broadcast. Let us know how bad I'm doing, as always, or how bad my playbook is. Didn't present it tonight.
Oh, it's bad. It's always bad.
Yeah. I don't bring it out anymore unless you make me, because I don't want to embarrass myself anymore.
Well, we have to do that from time to time. But I will say, though, you had talked about some of these awesome paint schemes. I was going through the field while you were doing that, and I am digging that retro Tide look on the 4 of Chad Lang. Always good to see some of these skins coming out, and I love the way that these guys paint up their skins. But as a pace car pulls in, again, Rocket Man Nicholas Moreau leading him to the start-finish line. Richie Coy to his outside. Green flag flies. We're back underway. Neck and neck start there. Richie Coy trying to match that of Nicholas Moreau as they go off into the corner side by side, Jeremy. This is a dead heat, but it should come off as long as he can clear him, and he does. Nicholas Moreau takes that lead spot. Richie Coy all over the back bumper, though.
Did not get the jump that he had on the original start. Allowed the 19 to meet up with him, and yeah, there you guys. These two guys are going to be duking it out here as they're nose to tail. They got a good gap there on third place, which is about 3 to 4 car lengths back. That's Chuck Sweeting, and then that 26, Matthew Vachon, part of that really beefed up Moreau Motorsports team here. And it's good to see the 14 Lane Allen also holding up the top 5 here as he's now side by side with the number 27 of Varnauskas back at it for Rumble Racing.
Yeah, it's always good to to see drivers come up. And I tell you what, Lane Allen has been on a tear. He's been on some good runs here the last couple weeks, both in the Truck Series and in the Cup Series. And Brian Dublé is the same way. He's really been coming through. Consistency's picking up, and we've been calling his name and calling his number a whole lot more here over the last couple weeks, Jeremy.
We really have, and I'm really excited to see that. He's found his niche, especially in these Cup cars. I know they're in talks of maybe switching these things up, but 14's kind of a big fan of him right now, as he's consistently just getting better and better, holding himself right now inside that 5th place. As the number 4, you mentioned that Tide Machine making a run here underneath the 27, trying to get himself into 6th place. The top guys have kind of spaced out, other than the battle for the race lead right now is still about a 1 to 2 car length, depending on what part of the track they're at. And you're seeing right now on camera, we're seeing some cameras, some 2x2 racing there with the number 4. It looks like the 14 potentially as they go down the backstretch here.
Yeah, side by side. These guys here, the 4 of Chad Lang and that 27 of Jonathan Varnauskas have been duking it out. Chad Lang and that Tide Machine on the inside, but look at the run that Varnauskas gets on the outside in that 27 Rumble Racing car. I mean, this is the type of racing that New Hampshire is known for producing. I mean, you can set the car up, you can run multiple grooves there, and
we got a wreck.
Yeah, looks like the 4 Chad Lang, we were on board on that, Jeremy. That caution is going to come out. That looked like that was almost identical to what happened to Chris Beck in the 44. Almost appeared as though he had just went down below into that first lane there, that quote unquote dead lane, so to speak, and it just upset the car. Did not like it going down there. Might have had to check up just a little bit, but I mean looks like it's exactly what happened, Jeremy. It was almost a mirrored spin of the 44 of Chris Beck.
That makes sense. Both guys are on Flying Tiger Motorsports, so same team, possibly very similar setups, and they're both loose off of turn 2 apparently. This time with this strike the other teammate, Mr. Chad Lang. And this spin out looked kind of weird. It almost looked like the front of the car spun out. The rear of the car kind of stuck where it was on the track, but the front just over-rotated with a lot of oversteer there, and spun out and almost clipped the inside wall at the same time. So not used to seeing the rear tires stay gripped up and the front of the car slide around, but thankfully he kept it off the wall, and no harm, no foul.
Yeah, it definitely looked like, and that's why I was saying it almost looks like he had to check up there from that replay angle. Almost looked like he had to check up, maybe get on the binders just a little bit to stay out from the back end of the 14 of Lane Allen, and that could have been enough right there just to send it in, because I'm like you, it definitely looked a little bit of a different spin. More front end driven, so possibly a little bit more front brake bias into that. Possibly could have been enough to upset that car.
A couple extra cars coming down pit road this time. The 23 Brody Hanna, the number 7 Wayne Grossi coming back down, this time taking 4 tires, or at least the left sides rather. And then 02 of Josh Mayu electing to come down. So a total of 4 cars coming down pit road for the service of their crew. Well, not 15 though, so it's not completely unexpected to see some guys try to freshen up the tires and make a good long run if we can get one of those.
Yeah, and that's what these drivers need to do. Again, they're still coming into the feel of it. Obviously, we found a couple drivers that their cars just do not like that dead low line. You get their car down there and it just does not set right. You know, and you better believe that there's a number of drivers out there, Jeremy, that are taking note of that. Haven't really seen a lot of drivers really kind of bank down to that first lane. They've been sticking on that second lane on up to the third and even hitting the fourth lane a little bit. And for you folks out there watching, when we're talking lanes, we're talking the white stripes on there, the white dashed lines going through the corners. If you look at them, they're dashed out, and it separates that entire track out into 5 different lanes. All the way up. So right now that lane that's going from that solid inside white line all the way up to the that first dash line, that's where the drivers are having issues with as we're looking on board right now. It's going to be that area right down there, that yellow line up to that first dash line. That's where the cars are having some issues early on, Jeremy.
Yeah, you can kind of see it. I'm pretty sure most of us that are watching knows New Hampshire, but if you don't, if you're not raced here, it's hard to see visually. You can kind of tell if you're looking in the right spot. It looks a little flatter on the first lane there from the 15's camera angle, and there's like a 2-degree, I want to say, banking transition from the first lane to the second. If you look carefully, you can see it looks a little flatter down there. And that's, you know, the flatter the surface, the less your car can rotate. It takes more mechanical grip, takes a lot more out of your tires. It's a lot worse down there. So when you have that banking assistance, even one lane up makes a big difference. You don't see very little people go down there unless they're going to go in for a dive bomb. Some people get really tight in the long run, and then you can utilize that lower banking to help the car not spin out, but it frees it up, gets it loose enough to maybe help the car rotate to the center. So it can be an assistance, or in this case with the 4 and the 44, could present some issues. And right now it's showing that 2 cautions already with on lap 17, and we're about to go back to green flag. See the pace car dip down. This is going to be for the second restart. Only 1 leader so far, that 15, Nicholas Murrow. Let's see what he can do. An awesome start here between him and the 75. Really, Chuck Sweeting gets a great launch. Going down to the turn number 1, it's going to put the 75 and the 19 side by side for second, and that 15, Dustin, already about to a 3-car length advantage. Yeah,
excellent start by the 15 of Moreau, and that puts the 19 of Coy and the 75 of Sweeting side by side. Right now, it looks like Coy is going to take that spot up with that excellent run coming off turn 2, but again, Chuck Sweeting all over the back end, and Jeremy, you can see exactly where they're running. They are solidly running in that second groove and higher right now, but I mean, just out to right now a 3-car length lead is that of Nicholas Moreau in that 15.
Yeah, pretty spaced out there. 19 not pushing issues so much like he was on that second run there, but that 75 is taking advantage of that. He is on the back bumper now, that 19. Welcome back to the Chuck and Richie show. We had that 1 week off last week, but it is back and looks like it's going to be in full force here. Is everybody else, Dustin, really, for the most part, single file until you get back to, looks like the 47, running about 10th place or so, actually 14th. That's the first car side by side here, and it's a pretty good battle here. 47 and the 02, then you got the 4 and the 23. Half of those guys have pitted that last caution, so that's probably why you're seeing them trying to go through the field here.
Yeah, so again, the 47 of Ryan Hedrick right now, right in front of him, you're seeing that 50 of Martin Garreau. But right now, I mean, it's a side-by-side battle with Hedrick and that 02. And as you get a good shot on that one there, F average, be legendary. that is that 02 of Josh Mayhew. That is definitely a legendary paint scheme that we have going on there. It's good to see him differently. Usually we see him in a Wonka Runts car, I do believe. I always want to say it's a Nerds, but it's the Wonka Runts car, that all white one. So definitely breaking out a different paint scheme this week. But like you said, I mean, a lot of these drivers, they all pitted. The 4 of Chad Lang back there, he was a driver that brought out that most recent caution. So a lot of these drivers got fresh tires, made some adjustments. So I mean, they're racing it hard right now here as we're working lap 22 of 150, Jeremy.
That's why that 02 pitted earlier, right, Dustin? He wanted to not be the average guy. He wanted to be the legendary guy.
Gotta be legendary.
Really pit stop, make that good run through the field. At least he's trying to, and it's presented some problems for him. It's not as easy as it looks to pass on this track. It is very difficult to get the car to rotate, to get a pass set up. You can kind of do it, but it's difficult here, Dustin.
Well, don't tell Chad Lang that, as he's trying to get it done on that third and even sometimes breaking that fourth lane. So I don't know what adjustments he's made, but he's definitely learned his lesson to stay away from that dead low line. He just got done driving on the high side by the 47 of Hedrick, and now he's working on the outside of the 50 of Garreau. And Jeremy, he's coming pretty good. And prior to that last caution coming out, he was in the top 5 there, and I mean, he had a hot rod for sure. So definitely keep an eye out for that number 4 working his way through the field.
Yeah, he's brought a whole different energy set here. He realizes that bottom's not where he needs to be, and you see him, like you said, second and third lane all the way around this time since the green flag flew. Oh, we got another spinner. The third car really go around in turn number 2. This time it's the number 11 of Tony Solari. Did not bring out a caution. Kind of surprising.
That was an excellent save by the 11. Sorry to cut you off on that. That was an excellent save. Didn't even fully go around, Jeremy.
That was great driving, even through the grass. We all know driving in iRacing in the grass is like ice. But that's the same exact spot the 4 spun, the 44 spun, the 11 spun the same exact way. No caution this time. Maybe iRacing stewards just like, you know what? Enough's enough with these cautions. But yeah, you see the handwork right there inside the cockpit. Excellent driving by that number 11.
Absolutely. That was a heck of a save. Prevented the caution from coming out. It cost him a lot of positions, Jeremy, as he was running right there, right near that top 10 or just inside the top 10 prior to that incident happening. But it looks like that low lane, again, coming out and biting some drivers. This time, one of the Fury Motorsports drivers, Tony Solari. And now you see him. Now he's moving up to that second to third lane. So these drivers, it seems like once that first lane bites them, they learn their lesson real quick and they stay away from that. But Jeremy, that 11 car seems like it is not in a very comfortable place right now as far as handling. He seems very, very loose at this point in time. But again, excellent save. Prevented that caution from coming out and still a lot of laps.
That makes a lot of sense, too. You just spun out, right? So your tires are overheated. They're shot. You might have a flat spot on them. Thankfully, you got to the grass early enough to where he didn't have to truly flat spot the things. And so he's got to let his tires cool off. He's got a few laps to just chill, let it, do its thing, let it cool down, and then you can get back at it. But, yeah, temporarily, it's a handful on that side of that number 11 Ford Mustang.
Yeah, and back up front, the battle for the lead is still ongoing right now. You're looking at about 0.3 of a second separate first place, Nicholas Moreau, from second place, Richie Coy. Richie Coy still not giving up on that, and making his return, and he's making a hard run. The 75 of Chuck Sweeting has fallen off of the back end of Richie Coy a little bit, but still solidly holds that third spot. Very comfortable right now. Nicholas Moreau's teammate, Matthew Vachon, in that 26 is holding fourth place. And Lane Allen in that number 14 is holding fifth place. But Jeremy, he's starting to get a little pressure from behind him. He's got some hot rods coming up his tailpipes right now. Starting with that 27 of Varanaskis, they got the 33 of Williford and the 5 of Fred Moreau. We had dropped his name, not putting down a qualifying lap. And Jeremy, he's running 7th right now, just past Sherwood for that 7th spot. He's moving his way up.
Yeah, the 27 and the 14 have been around each other since the drop of the original green flag, and 27 kind of laid back, but now he's got the faster car at the moment. He is getting right up to that back bumper of that 14, and after that, that sleeper that we talked about, that number 5, started 17th up to P7, 10 spots in a matter of 30 laps, even with the 2 cautions. So we know that car is bad fast. He's trying to go 2 for 2. The only driver who's got multiple wins this season is your race leader, Nicholas Moreau. But the guys like the 19 and the 5, they want to be a repeat winner just like him.
Absolutely. And again, Fred Moreau is your biggest mover of the race. Up to this point, again, working lap 31 of 150. Like you said, up 17 positions. And Jeremy, he's knocking on the back door of the 27 of Varanaskis right now, as Varanaskis is trying to put some pressure on the 14 of Lane Allen.
Yeah, they really are. They're getting really bunched up in the caution for the 3rd time this evening. Happens on lap number 31. Going through the field here, trying to find it. And it looks like it might have been, that 44. Turn number 2 strikes him once again as he gets through it. Hits the back of the 37, it looks like. And then same deal. He found his inside tires below the second groove where it flattens out. Caused him to loop around once again.
Yeah, like I said, a lot of drivers seem to be having issues with that inside lane right now, and it doesn't take much, Jeremy. Just like with the 44, Chris Beck again, just broke the tires down below. But like you said, it's hard to see on camera, but the transition from that first lane to that second lane is ridiculous. You have a little bit of banking on that second lane, and it's ridiculous how much it just flattens out come into that first lane. And as you can see, the 15 leads down the entire field, minus a few drivers, down to the service of their pit crew for their first official pit stop of the night, Jeremy.
No surprise to see everyone through the entire field come down to the service of their crew for their first stop of the night. Let's see who can hit the marks just fine here. The 15's looking to be the only leader still. You know, like Richie Coy is really trying to get around him. But yeah, the complaint with the next gen car, for those who have driven it, most of us can probably agree that these things are really stiff. There's very little suspension travel and not much mechanical travel. So essentially when they hit that first groove there, that flatter groove, it's a banking transition. Usually the suspension does that work for you to compensate. But when your car is rock solid and you're trying to go between banking transitions like that, it makes it more freer than usual. You're used to, being able to drive down there with security, but now any type of change like that, the car just gets super upset, does not like that change, and you're seeing it there. People love using that exit of turn 2, dipping the tires down just enough for rotation, but it's just causing too much rotation with how stiff these things are.
Yeah, and that's part of the learning curve that these drivers, are having to go through with these next gen cars. I mean, these things they're set up. It's a whole new package. It's a whole new car from top to bottom, front to back, all the way around. So I mean, they're just now starting to come to tracks that the last time they'd hit these were in the Gen 6s, and where they could do that, and now they're trying what they know, which was from the previous generation car, and it just doesn't work in these newer cars. And it's an unfortunate thing, but now that we have pit stops kind of cycled out right now, Jeremy, as it sits right now, Fred Moreau has cracked the top 5, nailed a good pit stop. It looks like Sherwood Williford just outside the top 5, Varnaskis in the top 5. Biggest loser on that one there is going to be Lane Allen, who was running 5th, dropped 5 spots all the way back to 10th. He drove through his pit stall by about 2 to 2.5 feet, had to throw it in reverse and back it up. Cost a big time on pit road, which cost him 5 spots on the track.
That's huge, yeah. 5 spots in New Hampshire. That's going to be a little bit tough to come back, especially how competitive this top 10 is right now. And that number 5 just nailed that pit stop. He drove it in there, locked it up perfectly. The car was serviced excellent by his virtual crew, and then he was on the gas with very minimal tire spin, so he's able to capitalize that, get to 4th place. That guy, Dustin, 13 spots already. I know the next 3 guys in front of him are going to be the toughest yet, but at this point, I don't know if I have any doubts that he can make the thing get first place.
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, they are tough, but he's beaten them before, so it's not out of the question. But there's a lot of tough and fast drivers all around him as well. I mean, you got the 33 up there. The 27 has been tough. Brody Hanna on that 23 starting to poke his nose up there as well. He's up 7 spots from his starting spot. So, again, Jeremy, this racing is going to start getting hard and heavy here real quick as long as these drivers can stay away. As we got green flag racing. Excellent start by the 15 and the 19. 15 edges the 19 out. 19 hard drive into that corner, though, trying to maintain that speed as they're coming off that corner side by side. 19 trying to get that run there is coming off, and this is where that speed from that high line is going to come in to try to match it, but he's got to be careful driving it into turn 3 just a little too hard, Jeremy. He's got to hold that line.
Holding it up really nicely. The number 5 was able to get 3rd place from Chuck as he gave it up rather quickly there, but coming off of turn number 4, will we have a new leader? And yes, we do. The first lead change this evening, the number 19, Richie Coy, at the point by 9/1000ths of a second. And he's pinching on the 15. He's doing exactly what he needs to. He needs to give up that. Oh, the 15 really loose sideways. Comes across the track. Caution. Oh, he took out his teammate, the number 26. Matthew Vachon, heavy contact with him, and the 37 of Brian Dublé as well. 3 cars involved in this on lap 37. Huge implications for Moreau Motorsports.
And Jeremy, we were actually on board with Richie Coy looking at Nicholas Moreau, and it almost looks like, and that was after the incident happened, hard contact by a number of drivers on that one. But it almost looked like there could have been some net code there, Jeremy, with the way that happens, because it didn't seem like there was that much space, or it looked like there was a little bit of space there. And the unfortunate thing on that is that looks like that's going to be terminal for that 15, Jeremy, with the way that everything kind of worked out. Hard impact there. You're talking about taking out his teammate. That was Matthew Vachon right there with that head-on collision. Tough break for a number of drivers. Dublé was collected in that one as well. We're going to go on board and take a look at Brian Dublé. He was on board with that incident as well. So again, tough break with a lot of these drivers as you see the mayhem just starting to unfold right in front.
Just
Instant.
nowhere to go. Yeah, just broke the connection there to the right rear. Obviously, you saw that tire flapping around. I did not notice that 27, the other Rumble Racing car, heavy impact there. The 27 Jonathan Varanasquez. I did not notice that. So 2 Rumble Racing cars and 2 Muro Motorsports involved in this one. And that was exactly what I was about to talk about, is when you take off that runoff corner exit there from that 15, the car acts a little different. He's used to widening out that corner, getting it close to the wall, but then he all of a sudden, that's his first time, he essentially got put in a position where he had to over-rotate the car to kind of keep it off the 19's door panel, and that car obviously got upset. And these cars are very easy to overcorrect. He makes that overcorrection, and 4 cars technically involved in. Dustin, I don't know if the 15's terminal, but the last couple of times I've seen a tire disconnect, it's been a 16-minute required repair plus optional. So we'll have to see if he waits it out or if he's going to call it quits this evening.
Yeah, it's any time in here that you and I have personally come across it, Jeremy. I believe it's been anywhere from a 9-minute to 16-minute required plus optional repairs, usually tacking up to about 6 minutes. I mean, that's if he stays in it. I mean, he can still try to salvage some points, and if he's championship racing, which we all know a lot of these drivers are points racing, he can still try to salvage it, especially with the struggle that these drivers are having maintaining these cars down there on that dead low line. He might be able to salvage something, but he's going to be some laps down.
Yeah, if these cautions keep up, he might be not as bad, but still, it's going to be out of the race contention regardless. He's not going to have the car to compete. His teammate Matthew Vachon has backed out of tonight's event, so it's going to be your first car out of here. Minus Joshua Johnson having some connection issues. You're going to find him 16 laps down. He's trying though. We'll see if he gets reconnected for the second time tonight. But that luck from that 15, Dustin, Nicholas Moreau, he has such good races every time. He's 7 for 7 on the poles. But when he comes into these races, it's a 50-50 chance if he's going to have bad luck or good luck. This time it was his doing, but we've seen quite a bit of other times where it's somebody else's doing. So he just can't catch a break overall this season.
No, you're absolutely right, and that's just the way the tires fall, so to speak, with racing. I mean, that's part of it's skill, the other part is luck. Being in the right place at the right time. But Moreau Motorsports is not completely out of the running. They still have Fred Moreau running right now on the outside of the 19 of Richie Coy as they're getting ready to come to this restart. So Moreau Motorsports still has some drivers in there, but unfortunately, it's just not going to be the best of luck for that number 15. Going to have to come back next week and try it again as the pace car pulls off. 19 of Richie Coy leads this field down to the start-finish line for the restart. The 5 of Fred Moreau on the outside matches the start of Richie Coy, maybe even betters it a little bit, but lets off going in the corner, giving Richie Coy that lead. But look at that fight back. The 5 of Fred Moreau trying to fight back on the outside as they go down the backstretch, Jeremy. That run on that high line, just crazy.
This is almost comical how good this 5 is. It's starting back in 17th. It says, no problem. Take me 40 laps to go through 16 drivers to get to the race lead. And here we are. That number 5 going to pass the 19 on the outside, doing it the hard way around New Hampshire, which actually is almost the easier way around this place. But a new race leader for the second lead change, 3rd leaders overall. Fred Moreau to the point. Hard charge of the race, P1.
Yeah, and he does fully pass the 19 of Richie Coy. Richie Coy still running that low line. You see that closing rate on the entry that the 19 of Coy has, though. It's almost just scary, the closing rate coming in, but he sacrifices it on the exit a little bit. Not able to set that car where he wants on the exit there. So mark that 5, Fred Moreau in that top spot comfortably. Has about a car length distance in between himself and the 19 of Coy. Chuck Sweeting sitting in 3rd position right now. Sherwood Williford in 4th, and Brody Hanna cracks the top 5 with his Fury Motorsport teammate Richie Coy.
Glad to see that 14 Lane Allen back almost inside the top 5 where he was after that little miscue there with that pit stop. So back to 6th place, that 14 is. And James Wallace, fastest or the highest running spot he's been tonight, from 18th to 7th. He's doing a pretty good job right now behind that 67 Chevrolet Camaro. And we're seeing the Flying Tiger Motorsports there with the 4, Chad Lang, recovering well after that early spin out, currently running in 8th.
Yeah, it's like you said, good to see the 14 of Lane Allen work his way back up just outside that top 5. Strong car. Definitely a strong piece that team has brought to the track today. And again, James Wallace, he seems like Nicholas Moreau. You know, he's had really good, strong runnings and has just in the last couple races found himself wrong place at the wrong time, just not, does not have luck on his side. So it's always good to see him running up there again solidly in that top 10, holding down that 7th position.
Yeah, doing a really fine job as well. Pretty racy up here, really, just outside the top 5, and also behind them running about 11th, 12th, 13th here. Pretty good battle side by side. The 37 of Dublé and the number 11 of Tony Solari here. Wayne Grossi trying to get around these guys, but he's just kind of got a little traffic jam. He's got to kind of wait patiently around. The 37 gets down to the apron. Looks like he got loose, able to save it. Turn 2, Dustin. These guys back here just can't find a grip around here.
Yeah, turn 2 definitely seems like it is the trouble spot. But we also have to remember Dublé does have some front nose damage as well, so you don't know if that could be possibly playing a little bit of a factor, as he was involved in that most recent caution involving the 15 of Nicholas Moreau. But yeah, Jeremy, turn 2 is definitely the huge struggle point right now with these drivers. They have got to watch it, because it's, again, these drivers are so used to being able to, crank that wheel and get that drive off of turn 2, sticking those front tires down like that it just becomes, it's second nature at this point in time. So when they go to try to do it now, that's when it's biting them.
And this track too in particular, it's built virtually identical. You got 2 180-degree wrapped corners, same exact banking. There's really not much different to it. But visually, it's a completely different corner. It's like, I almost feel like I'm driving the corner differently, even though I don't have to. It's because the visuals around it are so different. Turn 3 and 4, all the grandstands. Turn 1 and 2, nothing but only billboards. There's a much closer wall in 1 and 2. It just looks a lot different, but they're identical. So it's kind of interesting in the psychological standpoint of how much different and how much looser turn 2 is compared to turn 4. At least to me personally.
Yeah, and it is. I mean, it is a very technical track. It is a driver's track. I mean, you have the feel for it, or you don't have the feel for it, unfortunately. And I mean, like I said, it is so hard because the way that it looks. I mean, it almost makes you want to drive the corners harder as you're looking at them. You almost feel like you can drive them harder than what you actually can, and that's what catches drivers off key and all hilter-skelter.
75 making a pretty good run here. Oh, good save by the 67 and maybe even the 47. A couple cars. Again, turn number 2. It's like someone put down some oil or something down there. People are just struggling through that corner really bad right now, but great save by the 67. And I think even the 47 got a little loose as well, trying to react to that. So, yeah, just overall good handling there. But Chuck Sweeting is making his charge. He's directly behind that 19. 19's not giving up on that 5. 3-car battle here for the race lead, looking pretty good.
Yeah, that 75 is definitely catching that 19, but you see he's moved his lineup about a half a lane higher than that of the 19 going through It lets him really drift it all the way around that corner and get that good run out, so he's really closed in. Sherwood Williford in that fourth position, holding that position strong, not really getting any pressure, but has to keep in the back of his mind that he's got that 23 of Brody Hanna trying to creep into the picture behind him. But Jeremy, this race for the lead now with these three drivers, Fred, Richie, and Chuck, it's they're starting to heat up pretty good.
Five's definitely feeling some pressure. Maybe his tires are about to give out a little bit. Who knows? But the 19 looking, dipping those tires into that first groove. Let's see if it upsets his car like most others. He did not get a good launch off of 4. He lost about a car length on that number 5. It allowed Chuck to get to him, but Chuck backed up to reset that corner in particular. So the 19 overall a little bit faster, but when it comes to passing the number 5, especially at New Hampshire, you have to put the pressure on the guy, or you have to really set them up somehow, and it's really hard to do here.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the more difficult tracks to pass at. I mean, unless you were Chad Lang, who was showing us earlier, passing on that high side, unless your car is set up and you're just ripping that third and fourth groove, it is a difficult passing track for sure. Probably one of the harder ones to set up a pass on the official NASCAR circuit.
Yeah, you have to kind of do what Chuck was doing a couple laps ago. You have to maybe diamond the corner a little bit, maybe use that little bit of a grip patch on the high side. But when you do that kind of thing, sometimes it overdoes the tire, causes a little more damage to your long run. As we're on lap 55, so the long run has set in. These guys are feeling whether they're really loose or really tight. Probably more tight than anything, really. Especially that 5. It looks like that car just cannot rotate to center. It's allowing Richie, especially that corner right there, to really get to his rear bumper. So it's going to make it a little bit easier for this 19 as he kind of dips that nose a little bit, saying, hey, I'm here. But the 5 actually makes a really low entrance into the corner. It's going to set that 19 up for a potential pass on the high side.
Yeah, 19 has been really working the back end of the 5 there, trying to set him up and get things geared up for a good pass here. You see that 5 is really going low, and that's into that scary, sketchy territory down there with those tires down there just below that first dashed line. That's kind of what bit his teammate earlier, Nicholas Moreau, going down there. So again, this battle here heating up as we're on board with Richie Coy right now. You see that his target right now is that 5 of Fred Moreau, but we rotate backwards to get the camera to rotate backwards, and you see that back behind him, he is getting all kinds of pressure from the 75 of Chuck, because at the same time he's trying to work that 5, that 75 is trying to work him.
And 19 almost looked like he made a little bit of a mistake, an unusual one there in turn number 2 last lap around. The 5 went really low in that corner, and the 19 I thought was for sure going to take the outside around. But then he checked up when he saw this 5 slide up just a notch. I really hesitated on that, and so it backed him up. But in that time, that last lap, turn number 2, Richie, it looked like he almost overdrove the center. He had to really lift and give up that run he had on the 5. So a little bit of a struggle some right now on the tight end for Richie on turn number 2 over the past couple corners. And Chuck, he is waiting to pounce on that mistake there.
Yeah, and actually coming out of turn 2 there, it almost looked like the back end of that 19 was wobbling just a little bit. So possibly could be a little bit of a handling aspect going on right now with that 19. And you see the 75 of Chuck is getting ready to pounce all over that back end. Again, he's still running a half a lane higher than the 19, and I mean he's getting through the corner a lot better than Richie Coy is, that being the 75 of Chuck Sweeting.
Yeah, 19 making a look finally down to the inside here with an excellent run off of turn number 2. Looks like Chuck though is going to run that 5 up to the top here. Not sure what's going on with that. It looks like he's actually going to set up for that diamond potentially. Just the 5 gets a really good launch off of turn number 4. He's going to re-single the file out, but your third lead change this evening at 19, back to the point.
Yeah, and it's not uncommon to see. I mean, we know on the long runs, Richie Coy is definitely a hard fighter on those long runs. You see that 5 really driving that exit of the corner there, closing in on the back end of the 19. So this battle is not done, folks. We are not done by a long shot. These guys are still duking it out. We're working lap 61, getting ready to cross for 62. The 5 lost a lot of speed on the exit of 4 on that one. Jeremy really drove it off hard and had to backpedal to keep it out of the wall, so he's going to have to work this next lap to close that gap back up.
That car is just really struggling right now. He's probably gonna be one of those guys you might see come down pit road a little earlier than some others. Just really tight around this 1 mile track, which is very easy to do. It's very easy to overdo the tires. It's very easy to just, get the car really tight. He might want to start utilizing that bottom, but we've seen so many cars spin out down there early on, so he might be a little hesitant to do so, but he needs any assistance he can get. Maybe he shifts to the third lane. I'm not too sure, but right now that 5's struggling a little bit, and 75 is just waiting to pass him.
Yeah, and while all these drivers are fighting, Jeremy, look who's sneaking into the picture in that 4th position. That 33 is Sherwood Williford. We've been focused on this tight racing up here, and these drivers really duking it out. And Sherwood is starting to creep into the picture. And on top of that, look who has jumped into the top 5 for the first time tonight. That's at 67 to James Wallace. We were just talking about him about 10, 12 laps ago, Jeremy. And here he is creeping up into that top 5.
Great little dovetail here. Also, speaking of jumping into the chats, Mr. Joshua Johnson has parked it this evening officially. Once again, it's that CPU issue, but he said, here to watch, got booted twice, so that's it for me. Should have a new CPU this week, and go Boomerang Motorsports. I mentioned that because the 67 of Mr. James Wallace is now inside the top 5, and Mr. Joshua says they have a long run setup. So I guess that's no surprise to see that number 67 making some huge gains right now. Looking pretty stout. He's one of the fastest cars on the track that lap time by.
Yeah, and that's excellent to see. He looked a little loose coming off of turn 4 last time by, but you know what they say, loose is fast, and it's just on the edge of control. So, I mean, he's whatever he is doing and whatever that team is doing, they are doing fantastic. Working lap 65 right now, 66 just crossed, and solidly in the top 5. So Josh Johnson, unfortunate to hear that. We know that you've been fighting and trying to nurse those computer issues along. Unfortunately, it had to force you to park a little early today, but at least you get to watch some good racing. You get to watch your teammate up there in the top 5, and he's closing in on the 33, Jeremy, so keep an eye on that 67. He's not done yet tonight.
Yeah, he's definitely moving forward here, and I think to back up your quote you're trying to mention is the Michael Schumacher quote. I'm going to paraphrase it a little bit. I think he said if you're in control of your car, you're not going fast enough. I think that's what we're looking for there. So
there you go.
Yeah, that 67 is right on that edge, and that's why you see him moving up through the field. And you're not seeing a lot of cars really loose out here, but that 67's loose right now. That just really goes to show that setup is built for the long run, because he can rotate the car where people can't, and that's where that advantage is found.
Absolutely, and as he's closing in on the back end of the 33 of Sherwood Williford, that race for the top 3 is still heating up, Jeremy. You can again throw a blanket over these 3 drivers. Richie Coy still leading the way. Fred Moreau is not done yet, but Chuck Sweeting is all over the back end of that 5 like a kid hunting candy on Halloween. He is sniffing it, and he's wanting it bad.
Just try and grab all the Twix and all the Reese's from that bin, as he's definitely fighting it. And I'm surprised. I mean, I guess I'm not surprised. Chuck's a really patient driver. He will take advantage of you when you can, if there's any type of mistake. But that 75 is just superly waiting patiently, as the 5 actually drives in a little deep that time. Had to check up, get on the binders a little bit. So did the 75. That's going to allow that 19 to get about a car length advantage over the number 5 that time around turn number 2. But that 67's kind of stalemated since we talked about him. He's kind of hanging about 2 car lengths away from that 33.
Yeah, but I mean, at this point in time, big drive there by the 75 as the 5 again had to backpedal that a little bit to keep it off the wall. And you had just talked about Chuck's a driver that's not going to push the issue. He's going to wait for a mistake and try to capitalize, especially early in the race. We haven't hit halfway yet. We are 5 laps away from halfway. And that was a mistake by the 5 of Fred Moreau there. Was a mistake and was not. He kept it off the wall, but he had to backpedal on it, and Chuck Sweeting capitalized on it. So Chuck up to P2, now setting his sights on the 19 of Richie Coy.
Yep, furthest he's been up through the field since the green flag this evening, as he's back to P number 2. And at number 67, James Wallace, I did say he was stalemating, but I'm going to take that back. Going off the lap time versus the race leader, Richie Coy, he's gaining a tenth of 2 each lap. About 5 laps ago, he was 2.2, and now he's 1.6. these guys will probably extend this run a little longer than halfway, just because of the cautions that we had a little bit earlier on, around like 35, I think, is when they came down for pit road. So these guys can go a little bit longer this time around.
Yeah, and we're on board right now with James Wallace in that 67 Chevy Camaro. And again, he is working the ass end of that 33 hard right now. As it almost looks like the 33 of Sherwood Williford is holding up the 67. He gets into the corner better, rotates through the quarter better. They're about even coming off the corner, but I mean, right there, he makes up so much ground. And I mean, you can see those three drivers up there, Jeremy. I mean, they're closing in.
Oh, man, Chuck Sweeting just put an immense amount of pressure on the 19. I almost thought he was going to pass Richie on the high side there. It looks like he's going to get his nose to the high side this time around. Let's see if Richie can have any type of grip on the inside lane here at turn number 2. And it looks like he's able to outdrive the 75 just slightly, but a little bit of a side draft will bring that 75 close to being completely side by side. Chuck has a great opportunity here to make this pass, and it looks like he will. Gets the good grip run off of turn number 4. And new race leader, the 4th leader amongst 5 lead changes tonight. Actually, 4 lead changes. New leader, Chuck Sweeting.
Yeah, and again, these drivers still are not done. I mean, Richie is still trying to fight on that low side to get that run coming up. Still has a nose right there, but that run that the 75 gets coming off those corners is just it's hurting that 19 right now. And as the 19 is trying to fight on the inside, you see the 5 of Fred Moreau trying to fight on the outside and try to follow Chuck Sweeting through on that high side, but slam the door does that of Richie Coy to sit here and reset that lineup as Richie Coy still trying, but Fred Moreau right back to the battle again.
The 19 looked like he overdrove the entrance there. He had to really get on those binders, and it choked up the number 5 as well. That's all but good signs for the 75 as he takes advantage of that. Gets a little bit of a run off of turn number 2. But that 4th and 5th place, Dustin, you see that orange and white car. They are getting closer and closer and closer. They're in with grabbing distance now of that number 5 car. He once again tries to avoid that wall.
Yeah, that wall is getting ever and ever closer right now, and that is doing nothing. I mean, he closes the gap back up to the 19 of Richie Coy. Usually only takes him about a half a lap to a lap to do so. Really fighting it now, though, as he had to keep it off of the turn 2 wall. You see the 33 of Sherwood going to the inside to try to make the pass. Big time handling problems right now for the 5 of Fred Moreau.
Yeah, just overdrove the first half of the run and paying for it the second half as the 33 of Sherwood Williford does creep into 3rd place now, taking advantage of the number 5 as number 5 continues to fight a tight race car. And the 67 James Wallace looking like he wants to take over 4th place here as he's looking to the inside now of Fred Moreau.
Yeah, he's trying, and the inside would probably be the best place to do it, because the 5 of Fred Moreau has really been getting creeping ever so closer to that outside wall, especially off corner exit. So it's the 67 here. Looks like he had a good line there, but almost looks like he hesitated just a little bit, Jeremy, rather than trying to take that pass on the outside.
And all this racing too has provided Chuck Sweeting with a lot of comfort room right now. 19 struggling to be tight. Chuck Sweeting has a really solid long run car as he's now almost a second over 2nd place Richie Coy. And it's kind of moving these guys back a little bit, like your Sherwood Williford and James Wallace. They were faster until Chuck Sweeting made that pass. And now it's kind of flip-flopped here. The 75 has got some fresh air on that nose, and he's putting on a really strong performance right now on lap number 79.
Yeah, he is really taking off, but I mean, that's what clean air does. You know, he's got nobody in front of him now. He can run whatever line he so chooses, whatever line is best set up for his car, and that's exactly what he's doing, and he's starting to gap it now. 0.8 of a second is the separation between the 75 of Sweeting and the 19 of Coy. Coy's still running back there, but we should be, again, they're going to stretch it out a little bit more, like you said, Jeremy, just because of those cautions, but we should be seeing pit stops coming here at any point in time. We have those early cautions. I would say probably here within the next 10 laps, that probably landmark it in enough, and I'm going to sit here and pull a notebook out and see exactly how accurate I'm going to be. Look at it this way, it can't be any worse than your notebook. It's a good thing I probably didn't cheat off you. So I'm going to say probably within the next 10 laps, these drivers should be able to safely make it the rest of the way.
You know what? I'm glad you didn't cheat off my book either, because it would do nothing but bad for you. You know what? I think that's going to be a great time. We're going to take our commercial break. We're going to go side by side, and if they do happen to pit, we might come back a little early. But I think you're right. I think the 10 lap mark is going to be a solid option. So stay tuned as we go side by side. We'll be right back.
Are you ready to chase the moonlight? Community-based and talent-driven, Moonlight Speed Concepts has what you need to take your iRacing experience to the next level. Founded by passionate owners that care about the community and housing some of the top setup builders and drivers on the platform, Moonlight Speed Concepts offers custom paints, driver coaching, and setups for dirt, asphalt short track racing, and e-NASCAR competition. Partnered with top brands in both real world and simulation. Follow us on Facebook or visit moonlightspeed.com and find out why these businesses chase the moonlight and why you should too. Moonlight Speed Concept, where all we chase is moonlight.
Back to full screen coverage here at Nerd TV, and the last couple minutes, Dustin, things have been heating up on pit road, and then even in the server, there's lots to go on right now. You see right now the race off the 67 at 33 coming off pit road here. Just in the past couple laps, also, Fred Moreau, Stephen Lou Allen, and Jonathan Varanaskas, all three manually disconnected from the server. That's right, I did say Fred Moreau. That was your one-for-one guy at Chicago, who was running up there in the top 5 for a good chunk of the race. He is out of this evening's event. Not sure exactly what happened, but 3 guys out. But yeah, pit road definitely heating up. We got a lot of people exiting pit road. You see the 17 right now, Stephen Loomis. A lot of these guys have made their stops. They're just about over halfway cycled through the pit stops here. But any moment, we're going to see Chuck Sweeting and Richie Coy and Lane Allen make their stops as these guys are battling for the race lead right now.
Yeah, unfortunate event, though, and very surprising indeed for the 5 of Fred Moreau. I mean, he was still running right there in the top 5. We see the 75 of Chuck Sweeting hitting pit road at lap 90, and Martin Garreau following him right behind. You see Ryan Hedrick. Well, Hedrick? I do that every time. I haven't done it in a while, though. Sorry, Ryan. It's not doing it on purpose. Ryan Hedrick hitting pit road in that 47 as well. Is it too early to call it, Jeremy, that my notebook was accurate? Do you want to cheat off me?
125% accurate. Right on the money. I need to cheat off you every single time. That's just the way life is going to be at this point in time.
Richie Coy hitting pit lane as well. So he is hitting pit lane right now. That is going to show your race leader as the 14 of Lane Allen is going to be leading the way right now, who still has yet to come down pit road to the service of his crew, Jeremy. So he is waiting it out. The 7 of Wayne Grossi is waiting it out, and the 4 of Chad Lang also waiting it out. But if we recall, Chad Lang had been sitting back there kind of riding and everything else after an early caution. It looks like the 14 coming down pit road now. A little bit of dodging and weaving back and forth to miss that little grass patch down there coming into pit road. But Lane Allen hits pit road this time by.
Made a little eventful looking, but needless to say, it came through clean at the end of the day. That's all that really matters there. And I don't think you wasted any time really either. So good to see that. And this should cycle most of everyone through at this point in time. So we'll see exactly what this leaderboard looks like here in just a few short laps. But yeah, pretty crazy event. I went back and I tried watching Fred Moreau. He just came down pit road and parked it. I also watched Stephen Lou Allen. He didn't hit anything, it looked like. He just took the road course section in turn 3 and 4, came down pit road and parked it. And that was about it. 37 just wasn't running up the speed as well of Varnaskis. So just random retires there for this evening, which is it's a shame, Dustin. Those guys are running pretty all right, especially that number 5, Fred Moreau. I hate to see him back out, but race will continue. We're on lap number 93 of schedule 150. So we're just outside of 50 laps remaining in this event.
Yeah, just outside of 50 laps. And like you said, it's unfortunate for Stephen Lou Allen and Fred Moreau. Both of those drivers, to our knowledge, didn't have any damage. We had watched Fred Moreau race hard with the leaders there, with both Coy and Sweeting, until they're right towards the end of the run too. So it's understandable if cars fall off. Towards the end of the run, the tires are starting to wear, but it's unfortunate that, he had to pull in and park it. The 37 of Varnaskis, I get that he was involved in that earlier lap incident with the 15 of Nicholas Moreau, when he spun back up the track and ended up collecting Varnaskis in that situation. So it just looked like it was just too much as we finally see the 7 of Grossi pulling it down pit road right now. That is going to relinquish the race lead to that number 4 Tide machine of Chad Lang, who we seen spin earlier and bring out an earlier caution. He is out front leading right now. But Jeremy, I still believe he's got to come in for his pit at this point in time. And he's about ready to get past. That 67 of James Wallace. We've called his name a number of times tonight, Jeremy. He is on a rail right now as he just passed Chad Lang for that race lead.
Yeah, there's only 2 more guys left to pit. You see the number 4 pitting right now. That's going to leave 1 more. That number, actually no, James Wallace actually pitted too. So yeah, the new leader cycling through, 67 and 33, with an awesome strategy to pit a little bit earlier than everybody else, able to get a pretty decent advantage too. So everyone has cycled through at this point. So James Wallace, your new race leader, Sherwood Williford running in 2nd, and then Chuck Sweeting 3rd place and 4th place. He's actually 4 seconds back. That's going to find Richie Coy there, who must have not had a really good pit stop or whatnot. But it's kind of weird to see him 4 seconds back of Chuck, because he was right next door to door with him before the pit stops happened.
Yeah, and like I said, right now, James Wallace is over 2 seconds ahead of Sherwood Williford. in second. He's got almost 4 seconds over Chuck and almost 7.5 seconds over Richie Coy. So right now, and we know that 67 team, they brought a long run car, and it is showing right now. But we've seen this strategy work before, Jeremy. We've seen it work in the trucks. You know, we had last week's winner, you know, came in, pitted earlier than everybody else, and was able to stretch that out. And because of the way the track was, it was just hard to pass. They got arrow tight behind him like that. So I don't know, maybe James Wallace did a little bit of homework. It might work out in his favor right now, as we're coming up to 50 laps left in this racing event, Jeremy.
Yeah, the more you talk about it, the more I think this is an excellent pit strategy. That car is one of the fastest on the track. That was the 33 when it comes to long run speed. So if you do that short pit, you know you got the long run speed to back you up. Puts him in an awesome advantage right now. 3.5 seconds over third place Chuck Sweeting, who was leading prior. So if he can maintain that long run speed, you know, it might give him a pretty excellent shot here at tonight's victory.
Yeah, he's gonna have to stretch it out, and by he I mean James Wallace is gonna have to stretch it. We know Chuck can do a long run. He's really good at it. We know Sherwood can do it as well. We've interviewed Sherwood Williford in Victory Lane on very similar circumstances. So he's going to have to stretch it out. He can't really hold back, but he doesn't want to burn his stuff up either, because he knows these drivers are going to be coming at him later on. You got to have a little bit left in that tank as these laps wind down. So right now, this is the best opportunity and best chance that James Wallace has. Him and his team, they've made the right calls and put him in position right now. 48 laps left. He just has to start ticking them down and just hope it stays green, so that long run set that he's got under that 67 Camaro can really shine.
Yeah, and the other driver in that team too, that 47, don't forget him in Boomerang Motorsports. He's up to 5th. That strategy's well played out for him as well, doing that early stop strategy. Ryan Hendrick was floating, you know, just inside or outside the top 10, but right now in 5th place. Next guy back, 4 seconds off of him, rather. So that's a pretty good jump there for that 47.
Yeah, you're having 2 team cars right now solidly, and I'll say solidly because 4 seconds is a pretty massive gap here at New Hampshire. But having 2 team cars right now solidly in the top 5, they are the only double team right now in the top 5. Sherwood Williford, Chuck Sweeting, and Richie Coy all being part of different teams. Right now, that's good. You know, that's excellent for that team right now. So good showing here, and whatever they did on pit road and the calls and strategies that they made, Jeremy, spot on. Whoever's call it was to do that, as it's looking right now, could definitely pay off for both of those teams.
100%. And going back to Chuck Sweeting and Sherwood Williford, Chuck's putting some excellent pressure on that number 33 right now. Chuck Sweeting looked like maybe wanted to pass him last time in turn number 3. 33 kind of took his lane away, though. This is all but doing nothing but wonders for James Wallace in that 67, as he is only benefiting from the 33 racing the 75 this way, as we're just underneath 50 laps to go, at 46 to go to be precise. So the 75 really needs to figure out how to get around this 33 and 50 for that matter, because they're all bundled up here, so that the 75 can try to find that speed to catch that 67.
Yeah, and I mean, if we recall, I mean, when the 3 leaders, and again, I mean, you can see how they're fighting to get around the 50 of Martin Garreau right now. They're able to get around Martin Garreau there. He keeps it high. But I mean, we remember how the leaders were running earlier. You know, when it was Richie Coy, it was Fred Moreau and Chuck Sweeting, and they were all duking it out side by side, and it allowed the 33 of Williford and the 67 of James Wallace to catch back up, and that's exactly what's going on with Sweeting and Williford racing hard for that second position. It's allowing that 67 to pull away.
He's pulling away fast, too. Just in the past 3 laps, he's gained 3 or 4 tenths over these guys, so the more they race like this, it's just only putting a bigger smile on that 67. He's potentially set himself up with that strategy to go ahead and get this race win. He's got to keep it clean. Make sure there's no yellows, of course. But right now, he's looking pretty. Is now another 2 tenths gain that lap. 4 seconds separate first and second place.
Yeah, he just has to make sure he doesn't burn anything up. And as you can see right now on your screen, he is starting to work his way through lap traffic. If he's wanting to maximize this pit effort that and this strategy that his team has given him and put him in, he's got to cut through this lap traffic as fast as possible. He does not want to get stuck alongside of him, because that's just going to be lost time to everybody else behind him. So hopefully, it's going to, just benefit and maximize. I want to give a shout out to Josh Johnson. He's our official, unofficial in-race reporter, we'll call it. Said he was talking to James. Hard to pass out there, so pit early. Leap the leaders and not have to pass. Let them pass him. So kind of sounds like exactly how the truck race was on Wednesday, Jeremy. That's exactly how it's doing, and Bobby Terrell pulled the exact same move last Wednesday, having a hard time passing, pitted early. It sounds like that arrow tide is still following these drivers around, even though we are running the next gens. So this could pay off as long as this strategy and this race stays green, Jeremy. We could be interviewing that 67 here pretty quick for that number 1 spot.
It's just so hard to pass here. It doesn't matter what car you're driving. For the most part, it's just such a tricky track to get around someone and set that run up. You see, even Chuck Sweeting has better tires than Sherwood Williford, no question about it. He's still struggling to get around that 33, as they caught a little bit of ground up on that 67 as he was passing through traffic. But this truck right now is just really struggling to get around. And yeah, Joshua Johnson nailed on the head. I mean, with that toughness to get around people, why try to pass someone when you can put yourself in a position to let them pass you? But that was a pretty big leap, though. These guys, Mr. Wallace was over a second and a half. Pitted just a couple laps early, got the run enough to get up front, and then now getting the benefit of the 33 working on his side. As 75 now finally looking to the bottom of 33 as he wiggled off of turn number 2. And this should allow Chuck Sweeting to get around and go for that race lead.
Yeah, 33 way high up in that 4th lane. Chuck Sweeting does clear the 33 of Williford right now. So that's going to put the 33 back in 3rd. Chuck Sweeting up to 2nd. But now Chuck has got that gap, 3.6 seconds to try to chase down your current race leader, James Wallace, in that 67, Jeremy. And he's got 38 laps to do it. Still a lot of time. So again, James is going to have to play his cards right. He's going to have to keep it clean, going to have to work it through, and he's going to have to hope that maybe the 75 burn up a little bit more racing that 33. Time will tell, but I can tell you what, Chuck Sweeting's going to try it. Sherwood's not done yet either, and I see that 19 back there. He's starting to creep his way into the picture too.
And what a textbook pass by the 75. We mentioned it already once. He just waits for the mistake and then he passes. That's exactly what he did on that 33. Got a little offset there off of turn number 2. Able just to shoot around that 33, no problem. So he didn't have to spend his tires up. He didn't have to run a lane he's not comfortable in. Able to just kind of let him do his thing. And now he's got the fresh air other than that 15 of Nicholas Moreau, which is going to give that up pretty quick. Shout out to the 15's crew. Even though he is a whopping 37 laps down, he's out here. He has potential to gain a couple more spots, Dustin, with the 11 and 5 off track. So he's able to gain 2 spots, maximize what points he can. But able to get that right rear tire reconnected, everything good to go on that car, and doing pretty good for what condition it's in.
Yeah, and that right there is a driver that is points racing right now. Knows that every point counts. Doesn't want to be in a situation, Jeremy, to where, you know what, we're at the end of the season and we lost the championship by 1 point. And guess what? That could have been one of the positions that he could have passed here tonight. So that's a driver that is in it for the championship, in it for the long haul, trying to maximize his points. So good on him there for staying out there, getting out of the way of the leaders, just trying to gain as much as what he possibly can. But now that we've kind of cycled through pitch, Jeremy, we've talked about a lot of these lead cars, but our lineup right now is jumbled up. We know we got the 67 of James Wallace in first. He's currently leading it right now, 3.4 seconds, so lost 0.2 so far. in 4 laps to that of Chuck Sweeting, who was running second. Sherwood Williford holding that 3rd spot down, but may not be holding it down for much longer. The 19 of Richie Coy really starting to come in. As we're looking at this battle right now, Richie Coy in 4th, and James Wallace's best friend right now could be the 19 of Richie Coy, because if he can get by Sherwood and get up there and start fighting that 75 of Chuck Sweeting, might be enough to slow it down to give James Wallace a little bit more breathing room. But further on back, we got the 47 of Ryan Hedrick. That's James Wallace's teammate in the top 5 solidly. Stephen Allen. So Lane Allen still, after bouncing back after that early race pit road mishap and shooting through the pits, still running in 6th. Good run. Brody Hanna, haven't talked about him that much, but has been solidly in the top 10 all race long. He is holding 7th place, but right now he's being chased down by that black and white 02 of Josh Mayu, running in 8th place, up 3 positions from his starting spot. In the 9th is going to be that number 7 of Wayne Grossi, up 10 positions right now. And rounding out your top 10 is going to be that 50 of Martin Garreau. So as it sits right now, Jeremy, there's only 8 drivers on the lead lap.
And that does cycle through your top 10 running order. Surprised to see that 7, Dustin, being 1 lap down there, Wayne Grossi. We put on a pretty good show earlier on, but she doesn't have the speed at Richmond, or at New Hampshire tonight. But I'm looking over the lap times. I'm definitely keeping my eye on the top 2. I'm really curious to see how this run's going to play out. Chuck Sweeting put on some awesome lap times right now. 2.7 seconds back, and he was 3.2, I think, about 5 or 6 laps prior.
Yeah, and right now that 67 super loose off the corners, Jeremy. A lot of wiggling going on the last couple laps from that 67 come off, and it has cost a number of a lot of time from the distance spread between him and Chuck Sweeting. So again, I don't know if they're hitting just that lull in the setup there, to where it's, because every setup has got that lull where it feels really good and then it's on the edge of loose and then it tightens back up and then it's really good again. I don't know if they're in that interchange right now, or maybe if the track conditions have changed just enough. But I mean, he's definitely lost a little bit of time. He was able to gain it back, though. He was down to about 2.6. He's back up to 2.8 second gap between himself and that of Chuck Sweeting.
And that was virtue of that number 7 of Wayne Grossi to kind of being a little assistance there. But that 67, even in the center of the corner, he's not looking too strong at the moment. But Chuck Sweeting also, he's struggling. He's back in a little bit of dirty air, and that car looks like it's temporarily it's kind of lost its mojo a little bit, Dustin. I think if he gets around that 7, he'll be fine. But right now, he's struggling currently around behind this number 7.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, we had our official, unofficial in-race reporter, our pit road commentator, so to speak, Josh Johnson, giving us some updates. And if it's affecting one car, Jeremy, it's probably a safe bet that it's affecting multiple cars. And that's that aero tight, that difficulty trying to pass. And we may be seeing it play out right now on screen with the 75, Chuck Sweeting. He may be really fighting that right now, and that's only going to help that 67 of James Wallace, as we're down to 27 laps left, Jeremy. These laps are ticking down. James Wallace still has almost a 2.5 second lead. He just has to keep ticking it off.
I'm sure that guy that's currently our pit road reporter, Mr. Joshua Johnson, I'm sure he's on the edge of his seat, hoping to get the first victory for his team out here this evening for Boomerang Motorsports. They're in much need of a victory. They had an awesome performance in season 2022A, especially with Ryan Hedrick just really kicking butt earlier on. But now the sophomore slump showing a little bit, but they're starting to get some ground back. If James Wallace can complete this run and hold off Mr. Chuck Sweeting, that's going to be excellent for this team.
Oh, for sure. And like you said, the sophomore slump, let's not forget that James Wallace was also a rookie in the 2022A. So it was a battle of the Boomerang teammates between Ryan Hedrick and the 67 of James Wallace, with Hedrick obviously coming out on top of that one there. Wicked loose is the 67 going through that corner. That's not what he wants. He's got to get a handle of that car and get that consistency back if he wants to have any chance on taking this victory home. But a victory here would be monumental for this team. But I mean, let's be honest, even a top 3 podium is still going to be good, but they don't want to walk away from this track feeling like that they didn't leave everything out there on that track. So the 67 just needs to get in the mindset, stop looking at that differential time, hit his marks, and finish off the last 25 laps of this race, Jeremy. We're down to 25 laps to go. So this is where we start separating the boys from the men at this one here. James Wallace, just focus on that windshield, buddy, and you'll get her done.
That last lap, he was 5 to 6 tenths slower than his lap previous. That car is just ill handling right now, so he's a little bit on the edge. He's down to under 2 seconds between him and Chuck, but like you said, he needs to keep his eye out of the rearview mirror. He needs to keep it off the F3 relative screen. He needs to focus on hitting those marks and maximizing the speed that car has. But he definitely knows, though, he's got that disadvantage in the tire wear department. But just underneath 25 to go. Still got himself a pretty solid chance here.
Yeah, it's just only time will tell at this point. I mean, right now, some of his saving graces is Chuck Sweeting is fighting lap traffic at this point in time. Richie Coy is still not out of the picture yet. He's just over a second behind Chuck Sweeting. That right there, again, I said it before, that could be James Wallace's saving grace, because we know Richie Coy, if he has a feeling, even a sense that he could possibly get this race win, he's going to race it and give it his all. And if that means he has to try to go through and around Chuck Sweeting to try to get up there as well, he's going to have to go around Chuck Sweeting. That means he'll catch him, and he's going to race him hard. If he catches up to that 75, that could be enough with those two racing to give the edge right now to James Wallace, because right now he is under a second split difference. 7 to 8 tenths is between Wallace and Sweeting right now.
Wayne Grossi got around the 67 of James Wallace. That really slowed him up. So there's no cars that separate these two guys here with 21 to go at the line. And with him, Mr. Chuck, gaining all of this ground up, this is a lot to hold off. His car is obviously not where it needs to be on this run. We've seen it much better on the last long run, but they're also on the same lap count as well. So a little bit of difference here, but he's got 21. This is a lot of work, Dustin. This is putting some overtime. If you're going to hold off the guy in that number 75, Mr. Chuck Sweeting, obviously is one of the best of the best here at Full Throttle Sim Racing, and he's also bringing consistent long-run dominant cars in that Gator Racing Chevrolet. Him and Gil Gok and that team is just doing an awesome job. But to hold off this situation right here with 20 laps, it's a really tall task. Is it doable? Yes, but he's got to put a lot of work in.
Yeah, and the issue is again, we have heard reports that these cars are hard to pass at this track, whether it be the track itself, whether it be getting aero tight. We've seen cars get hung up and you know, behind other cars. We've seen Chuck Sweeting himself pass a couple fast cars, waiting on them to make a mistake, having to roll out of the throttle to stay out of the wall, you know, having to roll out of the throttle, prevent it from getting loose. He's passed a couple fast cars by doing that. So with the 75 being right on the tail end of the 67, you're seeing both of their back ends wiggle now. So you also see the 75, he's also getting loose, which that's a good sign for the 67 of Wallace right now. But with Wallace knowing that the 75 of Chuck Sweeting is right on his back bumper, he needs to hit his marks. Don't give Chuck Sweeting that chance and opportunity to try to capitalize on a little bit of a slip-up. Make him work for it. If he has to go to the outside, let him go to the outside and really try to work for it. But don't be like what happened to some of the other earlier drivers, where just a little bit of a back pedal was enough to allow Sweeting to put that nose on the inside.
Yeah, 67 needs to know that 75 will pass you whenever you do make that mistake. So if he can minimize any mistake he can right now in that cockpit, with coming up to 17 laps to go, any mistake that you can minimize or get rid of, it's going to be preferred here, as Chuck's just creeping in slowly and slowly. He's now under 0.3 of a second. Basically, one car length separates these two guys, duking out with 17 laps to go here at New Hampshire.
Yeah, duking it out with 17 laps to go. But Jeremy, don't forget that man we are on board with right now. He's got a front row seat to all this, and he has been coming, and he has been coming fast. And Jeremy, again, if he can get to the back end of Chuck Sweeting, this could again increase James Wallace's chances to try to possibly hold on for that victory. Or it could possibly hurt it, because that just means that the 19 is that much closer as well. And you know the 19's not going to hold off either, as you see the 75 of Chuck Sweeting really taking that high line. That's exactly what James Wallace, Sweeting gets loose off of turn 2. That's exactly what James Wallace needs him to do. Make him work for it. Don't make that mistake. Don't give him that opening in that door.
Yeah, you've been talking about this 19 for quite a while, and he has not let up, and he is there. He's only 2 or 3 car lengths off that 75. Gets a little loose off of 4 there. Going to backpedal just a little bit. But coming with 15 laps to go now, it's anyone's ball game. Yeah, the 19. We know the 19's more aggressive than the 75 on the overall perspective. So he's going to make that pass happen probably a little bit sooner. 6-7 gets a little loose off the corner this time. Will the 75 make a dive to the bottom? He does not. He lets it sit behind that car. But that 19... he knows, we know he can make that a move a little bit sharper, a little bit faster than that 75 typically. So will that give James Wallace enough room as he gets loose once again off of turn number 4, struggling to find any type of grip off corner exit, but still holding off the 75 currently.
Yeah, still holding off that 75, and like I said, I mean, this is some hard racing right now. And here's going to be the best bet. He's going to look on the inside. There's going to be no contest from that 67. Not going to try to block that line or anything else, as a 75 is going to drift up. 67 is going to stay in the throttle. It's going to be a dead heat race, as you see the 75 still trying to fight. Both drivers down the front stretch, neck and neck, going to dive it off into turn 1. Side by side. Best bet would be is to try to pinch off, and they're the 75 so close as they come off turn 2, but the 67 just left enough of a gap right there, and that right there is going to end. That's going to let the 67 fall to the clutches of the 19 of Richie Coy, who you know is going to come strong, hard, and heavy right now.
Yeah, the 67 did basically all he could with what kind of car he has underneath him right now. Just really loose, but was able to pinch down the 75's run as best as he could. Just could not have that corner exit speed that he needed. And now the 19 of Richie Coy really trying to drive it in there to get around him, because he knows right now he's losing valuable time to get to that 75, as he has the fastest car of these 3. He needs to find his way around Mr. James Wallace to make this last 10 laps, the best shot he can possible for that 75.
Yeah, as you see him on the inside right now, a little bit of a drift up, going to try to diamond it just slightly, get that run off. Like you said, he cannot lose any more time. Chuck has got open track in front of him. He is hauling away. The 19 finally passes the 67 to James Wallace right now. That's going to mark James Wallace back to 3rd, but right now there is still over a second gap between 3rd place Wallace and 4th place Sherwood Williford. So James Wallace has a little bit of breathing room. He just needs to hold on for that top 3 podium finish tonight. Be a good rebound for that team. But right now, Richie Coy now setting his sights on the 75 of Chuck Sweeting. And right now, there's about 0.8 of a second separates 1st and 2nd place with 10 laps to go, Jeremy.
Yeah, second and a half separates Wallace and Williford there for the top 3, so we'll keep our eye out on that as well. But yeah, right now, the focus is on the top 2. And we know these guys always find each other. That's why we call it every week, the Richie and Chuck show. Not letting down tonight, especially now going for the top spot in the New Hampshire 150, as they just now coming up to 9 laps to go. Let's see if Richie Coy can make any ground here. It looks like he had to check up just a little bit off of turn number 4. It reflected on the lap times as they basically dead heat that last lap by.
Yeah, both drivers running different lines. You see Chuck Sweeting running a little higher through the corner. Richie Coy running a little lower. Richie Coy really slinging it off those corners, though, as he drifts it up to that wall. He's trying everything he can. 9 laps to go, Jeremy. 0.6 of a second now separate 1st and 2nd. Richie Coy has definitely dropped that down by 0.2 last lap. So he is starting to catch him slowly but surely. But he has got to do it fast, because, Jeremy, he's running out of time. 8 laps to go in the New Hampshire 150.
Yeah, that turn number 2 helped that 19 out tremendously with an excellent corner exit, one of the best exits I've seen. Is he going to do it once again? Just really drives it out next to that wall. A little wobble that time, not as much speed on that corner exit, and you can kind of see it, but he's able to drive into turn 3, Dustin, way harder than the 75 is. And then you see him, he slides up, hits that little grip patch, diamonds the corner off, tries to get a good launch off exit, but it looks like the 75 had a little bit better overall speed this time. and basically, yep, 75 picks up 1/10 that time back on Richie Coy. So at 7 laps to go, 7/10 separate. That means he needs to do 1/10 a lap to even get to his rear bumper.
Yeah, and he needs to start doing it fast, and you can tell that 19 is driving it hard, kicked the back end out a little bit more than what he had the last few laps. But I tell you what, this battle is hard and heavy, but down back to 0.8 of a second. You see what that looseness did coming off of turn 2 last lap. So again, 6 laps left to go, Jeremy. He's going to have to cut over 1/10 per lap off if he wants to have any chance, because that's just to get to Chuck Sweeting. Once he gets there, he still has to pass.
67, really bad loose off of turn number 4. Almost hits the inside retaining wall, allows the 33 Williford to take over 3rd place. So new podium runner right now, Sherwood Williford in a 33.
Unfortunate turn of events on that one there, but I tell you what, the 67 had been working on that and holding that car, and that turn alone, turn 4, was the killer for him. He had been holding that hard and tight for quite a while, though. Definitely keeping a good handle on it. So again, no matter how it ends up, still a solid run for that 67 team.
100%, yes. He's currently running in 4th place. 2.5 separates him and his teammate Ryan Hendrick. They're in 5th, so you got Boomerang Motorsports still holding down 4th and 5th. Overall, great performance by those two guys. Going back to lead, Richie did gain a 10th that time, but still, we got 4 laps to go. I don't think there's going to be enough time unless Chuck makes some type of mistake. I don't see that happening though from that 75, but that 33 is on a mission to maybe try to upset 2nd place here.
Yeah, he has been coming for a hot minute. While Richie Coy Richie's been really trying to push it. You know, 0.8 of a second separate him, being Sherwood Williford and Richie Coy. 0.8 of a second separate Richie Coy from the leader, Chuck Sweeting. And Jeremy, we got 3 laps to go.
Yeah, these guys are still trying everything they can to get anywhere around. Ooh, the 19 gets really loose off of turn number 2. He's got to watch out. I think at this point he needs to throw the 75 out and say, hey, I can't get to the guy. We got to secure 2nd place here. And that 33 is so much faster right now. And you can't make that mistake. You see the 33 just really gain on him. Coming to 2 laps to go. It's going to be a close battle here for the 2nd place.
Yeah, right now the 75 Chuck Sweeting, after that 19 getting loose, is driving away right now. He's got that thing all but secured and in the bag as long as he keeps it clean, keeps it from breaking loose, and as long as a caution doesn't come out, he's got it all locked up. But right now that battle is going to be for that 2nd spot, Jeremy, as these two drivers are duking it out. 33 is Sherwood Williford is bringing it in close. He's going to come off turn 4, 1 lap to go. Can that 33, that white flag presented by Mach1 Performance, can the 33 try to chase down and pass that 19 with 1 lap to go? We will find out in 2 more corners, Jeremy.
Yeah, 2 more corners, and he is there. He is on the rear bumper as Chuck Sweeting has set sail for his victory as long as he makes 2 more corners correct. Keeping our eye on both the 75 and, of course, the 33 and 19, but 75 getting all the spotlight here, coming off of turn number 4. He's going to bring that machine home to 1st place as he wins New Hampshire 175, and Richie Coy secures 2nd place with Sherwood Williford bringing home 3rd.
What a finish on that there. Heck of a drive. Rounding out your top 5, and we'll let the results and everything else kind of cycle through before we hit our finishing results. But rounding out the rest of your top 5, James Wallace, after fighting that car for as loose as what it was later on in the run, because he was one of the first cars to pit, does bring it home in 4th place. Solid top 5 finish for Boomerang Motorsports, and his teammate Ryan Hedrick does round out in 5th. So again, the only 2 team cars in the top 5 for tonight's event, but all eyes are on that 75. Drove a hell of a race, able to bring that 75 to victory lane here at the Full Throttle Sim Racing Mach1 Performance Cup Series race, the New Hampshire 150, Jeremy.
Yeah, awesome drive overall by the 75, and a lot of these guys too, a lot of different strategies were involved in different scenarios. Had a couple of spinouts that we're not used to seeing too often, but that number 75 Chuck Sweeting finally back in victory lane. I think it's the 2nd repeat winner this this year, or this season rather, as he brings home win number 2 at New Hampshire, and the official or unofficial grid is complete. So we did mention over the top 5. 6th place, you're going to find Lane Allen. 7th, Josh Mayu. 8th place, Brody Hanna. 9th place, Wayne Grassi. 10th, Chad Lang. 11th, Martin Garreau. 12th, Brian Dublé. 13th, Steve Loomis. 14th, Chris Beck. And round out 15th, Tony Solari.
Yeah, Nicholas Moreau will bring the 15 car home in 15th place. Fred Moreau will finish in 17th.
17th, yes.
Yeah, okay. So
16th.
yeah, so Tony Solari was 15th. My bad. Apparently I need to get my prescriptions checked. Oh my goodness. Tony Solari 15th. Nicholas Moreau 16th. Fred Moreau 17th. Rounding out the rest of your field, 18th, Stephen Lou Allen, Jonathan Varanaskis, Matthew Vachon, Josh Johnson in 21st, 22nd, Brian Bliss, Brian Elder in 23rd. So drivers from Fred Moreau on back, all with a DNF, not able to finish in tonight's event.
And that's going to bring the start of the Martin Sports post-race event to recap the New Hampshire 150 for the Full Throttle Sim Racing Mach1 Performance Cup Series. And we're going to try to bring in that 3rd place finisher. We don't get to talk to this man too often. Mr. Williford, you got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Congratulations, man. That car was just on a mission. The back half of the first and second runs, your car was the fastest on the track, and you almost got to the 19 and 75 if you just had a little bit longer of a race, man. Just overall, how do you feel about tonight?
They had a better car. I think they drove theirs a lot harder, and I just had more tire at the end of the runs.
Now, you say that they had the better car, but I'm going to tell you right now, I beg to differ. The way that you were coming on later on in that run was... I mean, you were coming on. Do you feel that if you had just a few more laps, that you would have been able to possibly try to challenge that 19 there, maybe try to get that second spot?
Yeah, if we had a few more laps, I think I could have got Richie because he was evil loose. Actually, when I bumped him around the corner there, he was like, it looked like he was totally out of the throttle, so he was bad loose. So I may have could have got him. I don't think I could have got Chuck though.
Yeah, Chuck's car was looking pretty stout. And just a follow-up question on that. Your car in particular, I didn't see your car get out of condition much at all. Were you experiencing that looseness as well, or was your car pretty comfortable in there?
Actually, it was a bit tight. I made a tire adjustment, pressure adjustment in the race. It helped it some. It seemed to want to run one groove. I couldn't. If I got out of that groove, it was a trash lap. So I was basically stuck in that second lane.
Yeah, and that'll definitely hinder whenever your car is not so versatile, or for sure, at least on this track. So, but you did make 3rd place happen, man. So congratulations on an excellent, at least long run car for sure. Had some of the fastest lap times, if not the sole fast lap in the back half of that second run and first run, I do believe. So, floor is yours, man. Anyone out there that's watching, you'd love to give a shout out to?
I appreciate the league, for having a place to race. Appreciate you guys broadcasting the race. Blackwater, appreciate them guys. We come up with a set there at the last minute, and it was pretty decent. It was decent on a tough track. So a shout out to them.
Absolutely, one of the toughest tracks on the season schedule for sure. Go and celebrate, man, with your team on your hard-fought 3rd place victory.
Thank you guys.
You got it. And that was Sherwood Williford, tonight's 3rd place finisher. Now it's time to bring in the 2 main guys that we love to mention that like to battle each other. That 19 and 75. This time the 19 going to be bringing it home in 2nd place. Mr. Richie Coyd, you got a copy.
What's up, nerds?
How are you doing this evening, man? That car was pretty darn fast. It looked like you at one point I thought maybe you weren't going to get there into the contention, but then your car just came on really strong late in that run, and you almost had enough for Chuck Sweeting. What was the difference out there tonight?
Track position, I think. Chuck went in, and I went in the lap after him, and he was able to get a pretty good distance on that one lap that I stayed out. And then when I had to try to chase him down, I used all my tires getting there while he got to save a little bit. But just talking to him, just walking by and talking to him, and we had, I don't think either of us had tires at the end of that race.
No, you guys were definitely giving it everything you guys had for sure out there. I tell you what, going away on vacation, you definitely shook up the point standings in 3 different divisions right now. But I tell you what, buddy, it doesn't look like you missed a beat at all coming back. You picked up right where you had let off before that little vacation. Hopefully everything was good on the vacation. Hopefully you had fun. But what can we expect right now? Because I know you had a little bit of a cushion prior to that family vacation, and now that cushion is kind of it's dissipated, it's gone. So what can we expect now? Obviously, after this rebound right now, this week here, you're already starting it. Is this something that we can expect now to try to get back into that championship form?
Well, fortunately, they went to provisionals. Provisionals helped, so I got some points last week, even though I wasn't there. Yeah, I got to watch you guys broadcast it on Monday and Wednesday from the RV in the Jellystone Park, and great broadcast as usual. And yeah, it's gonna be, it's a fight. It's gonna be a scrap. Everybody's close now. Everybody's I guess they drew blood, and they smell me. They smell that points lead kind of hitting in the water there. So it'll be fun. I mean, we're gonna stripe for it every week.
Yeah, excellent analogy for sure. And it is really buttoned up coming to this event. Top 4 only separated by 10 points. So not even 10 points. So it is up for grabs really with 6 races left 6 races left in the season after tonight. So
and Daytona being the season finale on top of that. So this could get interesting.
You're not wrong. You're not right. Yeah.
No.
Speaking of which, have you thought about Daytona at all, Richie?
No.
He has now.
I don't think anybody wants to, so that's probably a safe answer. But any last shout outs you'd love to give as usual?
Well, I'd like to throw an apology out to Nicholas. I know we didn't touch, but it looked like I got a little loose coming out of 2, and it might have spooked him in his side there, and it definitely sent him down the racetrack, and he got wrecked out of that. That was a bad deal. We were racing hard there for the lead, and I hate to see that happen. Like I said, we didn't touch, but I spooked him. I got a little loose coming out of 2, and apologize for that. But shout out to the league, shout out to my team, Fury Motorsports. Shout out to Tony's mom and dad probably watching again, and shout out to you guys.
Yeah, man. Appreciate all the kind words out there, and congratulations once again on a 2nd place victory.
Thank you, guys.
You got it. And that was your 2nd place finisher, Mr. Richie Coy. That leaves 1 driver left, and that's Mr. Chuck Sweeting. Got a really fast, dominant car here in the second half with some good pit strategy mixed in. Mr. Chuck, you got a copy.
Yeah, I got you.
Hey, man, congratulations on winning the New Hampshire 150. I'm sure that feels great. You're the 2nd repeat winner of the season, so congrats on that alone. And, man, what a car out there. That long run car was pretty stout. The short run was pretty good. You had, like, one of the most well-balanced cars out there in the field. What kind of work did you put in that 75 machine for Gator Racing?
Yeah, we had a good setup tonight. It was a little tight, and that first pit stop after we got those cautions out of the way, I freed it up, just took a click of wedge out of it, and it was on a rail after that. And then it got loose towards the end of that run, and so I thought I'd put that wedge back in, and that was a big mistake because as the rubber got put down, the track got tighter, and I was really struggling at the end there with a really tight car, but was able to hang on. Had to work really hard. I'm pretty wet here from sweating, but it's a good race.
Yeah, I tell you what, I mean, you had us sweating up here as well. I mean, those last few laps and that whole chase down after the pit stops, trying to chase down James Wallace, who put on an excellent race as well. Were you experiencing some of the same things that you experienced in the truck race here last week as far as difficulty passing aero tight? Because we were getting a lot of reports from some drivers that were struggling with a lot of the same issues that you possibly could have been struggling with last week. Was that a problem tonight?
Yeah, you could feel it tonight. Not as bad as it was in the truck last week, but I kind of learned my lesson last week to not not let someone short pit me and get in front of me, because that's what Bobby Terrell did, and he ended up winning the race. And so I wanted to come in early tonight and make sure I didn't get stuck behind somebody and have that dirty air. So, but yeah, it was definitely there, but not as bad as the trucks, fortunately.
Yeah, learned from previous experience. That's a real veteran smart move there on your part, which brought you home to victory. So, man, congratulations once again. Any shouts you'd love to give before we let you go?
Yeah, I just want to wish my teammate Gil Gawk speedy recovery. He had that knee replacement surgery last week, so hopefully he's healed up and is maybe be back by next week or the week after and get back into racing. And yeah, we miss him around the shop here. So just thanks to him, thanks to Mach1 Performance for supporting the race tonight, and everybody that puts this league on. Appreciate all the hard work from everybody.
Yeah, hoping that recovery with his knee surgery did go very well, and hope to see him back real shortly. But congratulations, Chuck, once again on the victory tonight at the New Hampshire 150.
All right, thanks a lot. Have a good night, guys.
You too.
Man. And that's your race winner, Mr. Chuck Sweeting. Second repeat winner this evening, matches Nicholas Moreau with that stat. 3 other guys hold 1 win, and then everybody else is still on the chase for that first victory this evening. We're getting a couple drivers, Dustin, are getting close. Lane Allen's creeping in their top 5 each and every week now. If the 67 can put on that kind of performance again, we might see him up there. So this field's starting to pick up the pace here in the mid part of the season.
Yeah, and it seems like that midpoint on, it really has started picking up. And we've been calling a lot of drivers' names a lot more here frequently. I mean, we had talked about it today. Lane Allen, Brian Dublé. I mean, it was good to see James Wallace back up there. Ryan Hedrick back up there again, running very well. So, again, from midpoint on, it's almost complete opposite from last season. Last season, we were calling some of these drivers' names early on, and then from it hit that mid-season slump, and it just kind of fell off. This season, they were hit that, just continuing that slump, and now we're starting to call their names again, which is great because it definitely picks up the the competition factor a lot coming into these races. And as you can tell, I mean, you don't know down to the end on what's going to happen. So it's excellent to see a lot of these drivers having amazing runs.
Yeah, pun intended with the Boomerang Motorsports. They're returning back with some pretty good speed after having that little first half slump there, but they're coming back. They're coming back strong, it looks like, with a strong 4th and 5th place here tonight. Remaining schedule, there's 6 races left. Every track is unique to their own. You got a tricky triangle. It's 2.6 miles long. And then you got Indianapolis Motor Speedway, your only rectangle track out there in the world. Then you got 2 Mile Richmond or Michigan. And then we go to an under mile track at Richmond. And then a road course. And then that super speedway you brought up there with Richie, Daytona. So every track is unique. So it's going to bring a unique skill set. It's going to bring a custom good setup to get the job done. And with the points being really close, this Cup Series, Dustin, it's going to be the one to watch for sure. You don't want to miss it.
And I'm going to have to agree. And with the way things are going on and the way the points have shaken up, Jeremy, I have a feeling it's going to be decided at Daytona. I know last season's points, there was a little bit more breathing room, but I feel that it's going to be decided at Daytona, and it's going to be decided in a bad way for some drivers, possibly with that big one, and it's going to be decided in good way for some drivers staying out of that big one. I have a feeling with the way it's playing out, it's going to come down to the granddaddy of them all, Daytona International Speedway, for sure.
Yeah, I really feel like you're correct. And there's guys going to be on their toes, trying not to get involved in the big one, because you need to secure at least a solid finish there to make your points championship a reality. But this is going to bring the close to our Nerditudes broadcast. Quick thank you to all of our sponsors once again for allowing us to do this for you guys. FTSR, appreciate you allowing us to do this for you 2 nights a week. Get yourself registered if you enjoyed tonight's race. It's one of the biggest turnouts, but we want more. So FTSR.net, get yourself registered. Mach1 Performance, thank you for the sponsorship this season for the Full Throttle Sim Racing Cup Series. Great shop overall. Visit the Facebook, Mach1 Performance on Facebook. If you're in the area, get some body work done from these guys. They do awesome work. Sim Racing Points, your Wednesday series sponsor. It's your all-inclusive league points management system that does everything for you. Just check them out. the website FTSR.net has all the stuff that they can display. But if you go to their actual website as well, simracingpoints.com, you can see what they have to offer and a great price point to make your website professional. Martin Sports over at martinsports906.com. Please pick out their product. At least check it out. You don't have to pick one up today, but here soon you might want to. They got one of the most comfortable lineups from your upper half of your body, especially those gloves. If you're looking for some awesome sim racing gloves to complete your sim rig, that's the product to do it. Super Nerd at checkout, 25% off whatever you purchase over there. iRacing, iFlag, thank you for your continued partnership with us as well. One of a kind product. It brings all the flag notifications, all your spotter notifications, and a little visual setup that sits on your desk. Kind of looks like or resembles the little lights that hang off this the catch fence on most of your racetracks you go to. So to pick one of those up, head over to iRacing, iflag.com, and use Super Nerd at checkout, 15% off.
Yeah, we want to thank the Butt Kicker as well. That's the audio enhancement provider. This is going to give you that feel in the seat that you're missing. You're going to feel every hump, bump, smash, bang, tire spin, rumble strip, and anything in between. This gives you that missing element, that feel. So check out all the products they have. The Butt Kicker, if I can talk, would be fantastic. TheButtKicker.com. Use promo code NerdTV to save you a little bit at the end. We want to thank our paved asphalt. Paved asphalt. We want to thank our paved setup provider, Moonlight Speed Concepts. I don't know why I am bumbling so bad now on the promos. Moonlight Speed Concepts, now just Moonlight Speed. Check out moonlightspeed.com. Got you covered from advanced legends all the way up to the next gens that you just seen run tonight at New Hampshire. They will definitely get you some much needed W's on your stat record. Check them out again, moonlightspeed.com. On the dirt side, we want to thank houseofspeed.us. Everything that Moonlight Speed does for paved, House of Speed does for dirt. They only do oval. Sorry, you Rallycross and Lucas Oil off-road drivers. Not going to be what you want to look for. But everything else on dirt as far as oval, again, they will get you some much-needed dubs for sure. Top-notch quality made by champions in the respected dirt series and the iRacing Pro series. So again, check them out, houseofspeed.us. And lastly, we want to thank our energy provider and partner, Nerd Focus. Nerds hang with nerds. Again, the Think drink gives you all the energy you need. Amazing flavor, both sugar, which you see on your screen, and sugar-free, which is blue, without the crash as the other leading energy drinks currently have. So again, check them out, nerdfocus.com. Promo code SUPERNERD to save you some money.
And that does bring tonight to a close. We will catch you guys this coming Wednesday as the Truck Series does take on Pocono. Should be a really fun track there for those guys. Until then, though, I say this each and every night. Stay safe out there and always get your nerd on.
It's not goodbye. It's just till next time. Stay nerdy out there.